Hello, I'm Peggy Jenkins, and I'm going to be serving as your celebrant today for our hybrid UUCP worship service, which is called Building the Beloved Community Together, with our wonderful minister, Heather Vickery, from the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. I have been a member of the church for, I think, about 18 years, and I am on the worship committee. I was very happy to participate in this service because I'm always really excited to build the connection between our church and the larger Unitarian Universalist movement. And I also really like to highlight the really passionate and productive work of the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. So this is a treat for me. I'd like to extend a very special welcome to those of us who are joining us for the first time. We're very glad you're here. If you've come in person, you should have received a welcome packet with an information card in it. If you fill that out and drop it in the offering basket, we will be in touch to support you in finding your way into our community. If you're joining us online, there's a link on our website to an electronic version of the same card. Our welcoming committee members have yellow name tags, and they would be happy to answer questions or point you to additional information. Whether you are new or not, please consider staying for coffee and conversation after the service, either downstairs in our fellowship hall or in our Zoom room. And now, let us say our words of welcome together. Whether you are or your 1000th Sunday with us, and whether you strolled, rolled, Zoomed, ran, danced in. Identities, origins, sexualities, and genders. Welcome here. Now we'd like to take a moment to say hello across the technical divide. First, we're going to show the people joining us on Zoom. If you are at home, please turn on your camera. Now, people at home, wave. Now, people who are attending this service in our building, it's your turn to wave. We do have a couple of announcements. Reverend Elizabeth had foot surgery 2 weeks ago and will be back in the office this week. Our next hosting of Family Promise is coming soon, April 2nd through 9th. Oh, there you are. Okay, you want to come up? Sure. It's Nancy Nelson, our Family Promise coordinator.
I'm Nancy Nelson, and Michelle and I co-coordinate Family Promise, and we are sheltering a family this week. It looked like for a while we wouldn't have a family, but a man and his 2 children, ages 9 and 11, will be coming to stay tomorrow night. And people who have volunteered, I've been reaching out and letting you know about the adjustment in schedule that we're setting up tomorrow. But we are sheltering a family this week through Family Promise. Thank you to all the people who support this program and make it possible for us to play a role in housing families on the Palouse.
Jean Sipple and Sue Bliska are forming a new bereavement group for those who are grieving the loss of a loved one. This discussion group will offer a safe and supportive space to share feelings and experiences around death and dying. If you are interested, please get in touch with Jean. You want to raise your hand, Jean? Show people. There he is, in the back there. Here ends the announcements. We preface our service by acknowledging our church was built on the ancestral homelands of the Nimipu, called the Nez Perce by French-speaking traders, the Palouse, and the Shishum, called the Coeur d'Alene. Let us pause and remember that we live on ground that is sacred, ground that was stolen, ground that cries out for justice and responsible stewardship. May our remembering help us find the courage to do our part to restore wholeness to the earth and all her peoples. Now it's time for the chalice lighting, and I am going to ask Mackenzie and Micah, who are here. McKinley and Micah, who are here with their grandmother, Margaret Dibble, to come forward and light the chalice. We are hoping that folks joining us via Zoom have a chalice or a candle to light and something to light it with. Let's light our chalices together and say the words of our chalice affirmation. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek and seek to share. And now, from all that dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and love arise. Let beauty, truth, and good be sung in every land by every tongue.
I'd like to open our service today with this call to worship and action by Sharon Wiley. It is said that ministers are here to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. I say we are all afflicted and we are all comfortable. May our time together this morning be a comfort and a confrontation. May we find here peace in times of tumult. May we here invite tumult into lives of peace. May we here find calm in times of restlessness. May we here allow restlessness to evolve into action. Let this be the place you consider what you've never considered. Let this be the place you imagine for yourself something new and unthinkable. May this hour bring dreams of new ways of being in the world. Come, let us worship together. But first, let us sing our opening hymn, number 155, Circle Round for Freedom.
So if it helps you to follow along with the music.
This is a song that is in parts. It's kind of nice when you sing it in parts if you're good at that, but you'll need your hymnal for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to sing it once so you get the tune, because this isn't one that's familiar to everybody. And then everybody can join us for the tune. We'll sing in unison. Then we'll start singing in harmony. And if you want to just grab a harmony part and sing, go for it. We'll do that twice, and that's it.
That's number 155 in the Art Bounce hymnal.
55 is a great one.
Okay.
Technology.
Okay, so if that wasn't clear, we're going to stand and sing, right? Okay, 155 in your hymnal, right? This is not one we do a lot. So they're going to sing it one time through so you get a chance to hear the melody, and then we're all going to sing the melody. And then you're going to listen to them one more time as they sing the parts. And if you are so inspired, which I know you will be, you can choose a part and sing it along with them. So we're going to do it a total of 4 times, but you're going to listen, then sing, then listen, then sing. Does that sound good? Let me get a thumbs up or something. Okay, great.
Just come on, let it go.
Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children, keep the circle whole. Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us in the children of our children. Keep the circle whole. Circle round for freedom. Circle round for peace. For all of us imprisoned. Circle for release. Circle for the planet. Circle for each soul. For the children of our children. Keep the circle whole.
Now, let's take a moment to engage in the practice of generosity together. For those who are able to make a financial contribution, the logistics are on your screen. We typically give away all the cash from our Sunday offerings to local charities whose missions align with our values, a program called A Month of Sundays. This month, the recipient is various area food banks who need a lot of help right now because SNAP benefits have been reduced and inflation is terrible. So to donate, please indicate Month of Sundays on your check or from the online drop-down menu. In the spirit of love and for the continuing work of this church, we will now take some time to practice generosity together.
We're going to sing an offertory song that's also from your hymn book.
We won't make you sing this time, though.
Although if you wanted to, you're always welcome. This one was meant to be for 4 parts, and so we wrangled it a little bit and got it into 3 parts. And so it sounds a little bit wonky, but hopefully you won't notice that. So, but you know, it's number 64. So
Number 164.
no, this is number 64.
It is?
Yeah, he wrote the wrong number. This is number 64. And the thing about it is that we have this richness of music in the Unitarian hymnal. That gray book is full of great songs. And so it would be great if we learned them and incorporated them because, dang, there's a lot of good
Otherwise,
stuff.
they're just sitting there.
Exactly. So, words by Robert Frost to make you feel happy in the spring.
At least spring's on its way.
Oh, give us pleasure in the...
Let's try that again.
Oh, is that right? Second time.
Oh, give us pleasure in the flowers today, and give us not to think so far away, as the uncertain harvest keep us here, all simply in the springing of the year. Oh, give us pleasure in the orchard wide, like nothing else by day, like oats by night, and make us happy in the happy bees, the swarm dilating round the perfect trees, and make us happy in the darting birds.
reading for today.
Music first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Music first.
Fading away like the stars in the morning, losing their light in the glorious sun. Thus would we pass from this earth and its toiling, only remembered for what we have done. Only remembered, only remembered, only remembered for what we have done. Thus will we pass from this earth and its toiling, only remembered for what we have done. Only the truth that in life we have spoken, only the seed that in life we have sown, these will pass onward when we are forgotten, only remembered for what we have done. Only remembered, only remembered, only remembered for what we have done. These will pass onward when we are forgotten, only remembered for what we have done. Who'll sing the anthem and who'll tell the stories? Will the line hold? Will it scatter and run? Shall we at last be united in glory, only remembered for what we have done? Only remembered, only remembered, only remembered for what we have done. Shall we at last be united in glory, only remembered for what we have done? Only remembered for what we have done.
A Prayer for Travelers by Angela Herrera. This is a prayer for all the travelers, for the ones who start out in beauty, who fall from grace, who step gingerly looking for the way back, and for those who are born into the margins, who travel from one liminal space to another, crossing boundaries in search of center. This is a prayer for the ones whose births are a passing from darkness to darkness, who all their lives are drawn towards the light and keep moving, and for those whose journeys are a winding road that begins and ends in the same place, though only when the journey is completed do they finally know where they are. For all the travelers, young and old, aching and joyful, weary and full of life, the ones who are here, the ones who are not here, the ones who are like you, and they're all like you, and the ones who are different, for in some ways we each travel alone. This is a prayer for traveling mercies and sure-footedness, for clear vision, for bread for your body and spirit, for water, for your safe arrival, and for everyone you see along the way.
I want to introduce Heather Vickery, congregational activism at the UU Service Committee, and as such, she works with congregations, state action networks, and other groups that want to do their social justice work more effectively and faithfully. So welcome, Heather.
Thank you so much. And good morning, everyone. I am so delighted to be here with you all. Thank you for all the ways you're living out our Unitarian Universalist values in the world. The world needs these values now more than ever. For so many of us, these last few years seem to be an endless litany of one crisis after another. Climate forced displacement, armed violence, assaults on human rights, a deadly global pandemic, and on and on. As we continue to grapple with these events, we must remember that going back to business as usual is not an option. Not if we seek to live up to the values we espouse and create a world with more justice, a world in which everyone's needs are met, a world that we call beloved community. This is a world built on love, a liberatory love, the kind of love that allows us to stay in the struggle until everyone is welcome, everyone is whole, everyone is free. This is what we are being called to do now in so many ways. Co-creating a beloved community that looks to partners, not saviors, that looks to justice, not the status quo. A community that reaches towards life, not harmful ideology. Dr. Cornel West reminds us that justice is what love looks like in public, and justice is central to the beloved community. Justice as conceived of in much of American society is often thought of as something separate from us, an impartial system, perhaps an objective ideal that somehow resides outside of human bonds. In reality, though, relationship is at the core of justice. Justice is co-created between people and between communities. This means that justice is foundational to forming beloved community. Author Rachel Naomi Remen describes justice work as being in service of wholeness. And I love that phrase, being in service of wholeness. This idea is also found in the words of Australian Indigenous activist Lila Watson when she says, "If you have come here to help me, you are wasting your time. But if you have come here because your liberation is bound up with mine, then let us work together." Activist and author Adrienne Marie Brown speaks to this when discussing emergent strategy, the practice of looking to instances of right relationship in the natural and human world and following their examples. Brown points to mutually supportive, morally grounded, and imaginative community-based solutions as the animating force and redemptive power of justice work today. It is the foundation of beloved community, of life reaching towards life. The Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, or UUSC, is also part of this journey, one that has shifted our work from charity to justice, from depending on a few key leaders to centering grassroots partnership and leaderful movements. Founded in 1940 in response to the rise of fascism in Europe, UUSC began as a mission by a Unitarian minister and his wife, Waitzel and Martha Sharp, who traveled to Prague in order to do what they could to get as many Jews and political dissidents being targeted by the Nazis to safety. As the years went on, the Unitarian Service Committee, which later became the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, expanded its global work, sending aid to places around the world facing humanitarian crises. Over time, our human rights work began to focus on more systemic justice issues, shifting to a model of partnership with grassroots organizations led by those most affected by injustice. Today, our work focuses on climate-forced displacement, crisis response, and migrant justice. And while these initiatives may seem unrelated at first glance, they are at their core all interconnected. These issues are about the right to security within our homes, the right to restore our homes when they're ravaged by natural or human-made disaster, and the right to seek new homes elsewhere when necessary. It's this last right, the human right to migrate, the right to seek asylum, that inspired the UUSC program called the Congregational Accompaniment Project for Asylum Seekers. This collaborative accompaniment program, also known as CAPAS, because as you used, we always have to shorten the name, is a profound way to journey with and shelter people who are somewhere within the asylum process. Hearing about your Family Promise program actually reminds me of this, that you are accompanying the unhoused in your own community. Anti-immigration rhetoric, cruel enforcement policies, and the near complete dismantling of the U.S. asylum process has been escalating in recent years, but it is no way a new phenomenon. A new federal administration does not automatically mean that things will improve for those attempting to migrate to the United States. For instance, in 1994, the US government began implementing an immigration policy they called prevention through deterrence. This policy relies on increasing restrictions at checkpoints and militarizing populated areas along the US-Mexico border. This forces migrants to attempt to travel through the most inhospitable and often deadly mountainous desert landscape if they wish to enter the United States. Approximately 9,000 migrants are believed to have perished through this policy since it was implemented in 1994. And this is just one tiny sliver of the ways our country makes it nearly impossible to come migrant here safely or legally. Within this context of immigration injustice in our country, many people, both within and beyond migrant communities, have looked for new ways to change this system. All over the country, neighbors and friends have created networks to accompany migrants to immigration hearings, legal and medical appointments, and check-ins with ICE, which stands for Immigration and Customs Enforcement. They offer emotional care and comfort in times of stress and fear, provide a ride or translation services or advocacy before a judge, meet migrants in transition at bus stations with supplies for their journeys, and help them find secure housing and work. In all forms, accompaniment, whether with migrants or the unhoused or anyone else, is an invitation to witness and to listen and to show up. It's a practice of being human together in the face of extremely dehumanizing systems and circumstances. For those of us who are not unhoused or who are not targeted by ICE, accompaniment brings us closer to the violence of our oppressive systems, creating opportunities to build relationships with those who are most impacted. As a result, many people who engage in accompaniment work become deeply transformed and grow more committed to disrupting these harmful systems and acting for a more liberated future for all. Being in solidarity with and sharing resources with someone is a tangible way to say yes to justice, yes to community, yes to that which affirms life. This is one of the countless ways we become the beloved community, even as we seek to create it. We each have a role to play in its creation, each of us bringing our broken, growing selves in service to wholeness, recognizing that your liberation is bound up in mine, that no one is free until everyone is free. Beloved community is leaderful, joy-filled, imperfect, challenging, and flexible. It is life reaching towards life. But before we can really get down to this business of building the beloved community, we have to be able to imagine it, to picture it. Adrienne Marie Brown reminds us that if we are not organized towards what we really want and what we long for, we will always settle for just reacting and trying to stop something bad from happening. And I think most of us resonate with that feeling of always needing to react against something harmful. It's really easy to look at something like our current immigration system and say, that's wrong, that's bad. And I bet you can also understand how frustrating and demoralizing that can be, because there are so many oppressive systems in our world that it can feel overwhelming and unchangeable. If we want to do our justice work more effectively and faithfully, we have to have a vision of the world we want, not just the world we don't want. And that's something I want to work with you on today, to start imagining what the beloved community actually looks and feels like for you all. So I'm going to invite you into a brief visioning practice. I ask that you settle your body into a comfortable position. Maybe that means grounding your feet to the floor like the roots of a great oak tree. Maybe that means relaxing your head, letting your chin dip down a bit so your head is closer to your heart. Maybe that means leaning your head back so that your head really is in the clouds, as they say. Maybe it's something completely different. That's okay. If you're comfortable doing so, close your eyes or soften your gaze and take a deep breath in. And as you release the breath, notice your muscles. Are they clenched from worry? Are they sore because you slept a little differently? Take another deep breath in. And as you release the breath, try to relax them from whatever state they were in. Keep breathing. Now, in this hopefully more relaxed state, imagine that we've made it. We are in the beloved community where there is no war and no poverty, no borders and no prisons. Bring yourself into that future time when we have arrived and we are together. Take a moment and notice what senses are being activated for you. They may be different for each of us. Do you see something? Are there sounds that you're hearing? Maybe a smell comes to mind, or a taste. What can you feel? Look around. Who is there with you in this beloved community? What are we doing together? Take a deep breath in and continue to notice all of those sensations. And slowly breathe out. As we slowly journey back to the present, take a moment to notice how your time in the beloved community made your soul feel. Did something stick with you in particular, a sound, an image? Let that be a touchstone. My colleague and friend Angela Kelly taught me that practice, and it's had a profound impact, not just on my mental health and my ability to stay in this work for the long haul, but on how I do the work right now as well. I'm sure you know as well as I do that it's a lot easier being the person you want to be in this world when you're filled up with peace and possibility rather than frustration and fear. You see, when I imagine the beloved community, what I experience is a true community meal. Food plays a large part in my life. I love to feed people, I love to try new foods, and I love to connect with people over meals. This is a general trait of my family. We often return from vacations and spend the first hour of describing said vacation just talking about the food we've eaten. So it makes sense that that's the picture I have. As I'm brought back to that place, that beloved community, that beloved meal, I know that the food we're sharing tastes like the joy of knowing no one is hungry. that the laughter I hear sounds like true liberation, a type of laughter that can only be heard when no one is behind bars. And that the people I'm with feel like home because I know everyone else in the world has shelter. Just talking about it with you now fills me with a sense of peace. I miss that world, even though I've never physically been there. And when I'm struggling with all the injustices in the world and feeling overwhelmed and like I have to respond to all of them, or feeling like nothing I do can ever make a real difference, I go back to that place. I let it wash over me, and I ask myself, what one thing will get me closer to that world? How am I different when I'm in the beloved community? And how can I start living that way in the here and now? What is my work to do? The work that combines my passions and my skills that gets us closer to the beloved community. By keeping that vision close at hand, I know that whatever direction I decide to go in, it will get me to the same place, and that all the trials and tribulations along the way will be more than worth it. So now I ask you all, how will you get to your vision of the beloved community as individuals and as a congregation? I hope this practice inspired your imagination a little bit, that you've learned something, and that you'll continue joining together and joining with us at UUSC in building the beloved community. I am very excited to see how we can practice living together in the world we long for right now. Amen, Ashe, and let it be so.
Thank you, Heather. Please join us for our closing hymn. It's in the Teal book, which should also be handy somewhere. And it is number 1017, Building a New Way. Now more singing. Please join us for our musical benediction, There Is a Love. And now, join us in extinguishing the chalice.
Friends, I leave you today with this benediction by Darcy Roque. There's too much injustice in this world to not right the balance every day. There's too much pain in this world to not heal every day. Each of us ministers to a weary world. Let us go forth now and do that which calls us to make this world more loving, more compassionate, and more filled with the grace of divine presence every day. Thank you all, and I hope those of you in church go and enjoy coffee hour together. And for those of you on Zoom, I will be staying after on this and would be happy to talk with anyone who stays with me here. Thank you all, and go now in peace.